And on the programme today, action from two of yesterday's games, a controversy that had a board of directors under fire, and a unique father-son relationship in football. Our action begins in the third division with a match that turns out high above its normal status. Fulham against Bristol Rovers.
And Earl kicked off the line. Earl kicked off the line again. Mathewson going in. And was it a goal or wasn't it a goal?
Also Leeds against Sheffield Wednesday.
Paul Madeley hitting it hard. And hitting the crossbar. Beautiful effort by Paul Madeley.
The board of directors under fire were Fulham's, and particularly their chairman Tommy Trinder, as the People point out this morning. And Tommy Trinder answers back on the big match today. That unique moment, a father and son in opposition also at Fulham. On the left, Bill Dodgin Jr., manager of Fulham, and his father, Bill Dodgin Sr., manager of Bristol Rovers. But now let's look first of all at the match that pitted father against son. Fulham against Bristol Rovers as we go into the third division this week. And yet 2 seasons ago, the likes of Liverpool, Manchester United and the rest of the first division were coming to this lovely ground by the Thames. So several of the Fulham players are men with a lot of first division experience. Their team, in fact, is about the strongest they can field. And still wearing that number 10 shirt for them is Johnny Haynes in his 21st season now with the club, and he needs 1 goal now to beat the club's scoring record of 156 held by Beddy Jezard. Their opponents, Bristol Rovers, are basically a young side. Number 4 Roberts, number 6 Prince are both 19-year-olds. More experienced, though, is their chief striker, Robin Stubbs, formerly with Birmingham and Torquay. The afternoon has turned out sunny, but the crowd is a thin one, just over 6,000, and the referee today is Tommy Dawes of Norwich.
So Bristol Rovers in blue, kick off, attacking the goal to our left, and straight through now to the Fulham goalkeeper Malcolm Webster, the man on loan from Arsenal for a month. 18 years old. And Bristol Rovers with rather more to play for in what remains of the season than Fulham. Both are out of the cup, but Bristol Rovers in 8th position in the third division are still within striking distance of the top. They're only 4 points behind the second club, whereas Fulham are 16th and struggling, and Webster gets another touch of the ball. Good fighting back there from Johnny Haynes to give it to him. Fulham, in fact, who haven't won now for nearly 3 months. 11 games without a win. Here's Steve Earle, their second top scorer. Watched very closely by Roberts. And Fulham get a corner. That's Tony Ford, the number 2, playing his first game, not in the foreground, in the background there with a moustache, playing his first game for Bristol Rovers, joined them from Bristol City for £4,000. Haynes with the corner. And headed away by Prince. Horn well up there as well for Fulham. And finally Harold Jarman getting it away for Bristol Rovers. To Callaghan, the captain for Fulham. Haynes very closely policed by Ford, but now it's Bryn Jones. Straight to Haynes. Earl with a little flick on to look for Barrett, and Barrett with a fair bit of space down there. But not a very good cross. Prince away. Horn, Haynes. And now Barrett once more. And it's almost there. Oh, a good save there from Richardson. Mathewson beating Stubbs to the ball, but Stubbs getting a second chance. Now Richardson to Mathewson. Earl flicking it on, looking for Haynes. Barrett in fairly close attendance, but he's going to lift it back again. And Richardson going in once more. Well cleared, though, by Taylor. And Taylor again. Haynes. Earl. And Ford back to his goalkeeper, Laurie Taylor.
Come on, Jimmy!
Reg Mathewson. One for Earl to chase. And Roberts keeping very good watch on Earl there. That's Ford. Barrett Slipping his man very neatly. There's not too much room down there. Slipping him again. And now to Richardson. And again, this goalkeeper Taylor getting down well from Richardson. Conway trying to turn it back again, winning a corner for Fulham. Jimmy Conway, leading scorer here with 16 goals. Republic of Ireland international. And Mathewson now has gone up onto the Bristol Rovers goal line. Richardson trying to get in. Gilchrist pumping it back. And Conway offside. John Gilchrist had several good seasons with Millwall, a Scot. Graydon back to Ford. Les Barrett. Good acceleration by Barrett, turning it in, and a corner. Well, of course, he was playing First Division football only a couple of seasons ago, and that really was a very good piece of acceleration that took him past those Rovers defenders. Johnny Haynes to take the corner. And Earl kicked off the line. Earl kicked off the line again. Mathewson going in. And was it a goal or wasn't it a goal? And the referee has given an infringement against Fulham within a foot of that goal line. It couldn't have been closer. Jarman. Well, I wonder what the Fulham manager, Bill Dodgett Jr., in the centre of the picture, sitting next to George Cohen, in fact. I wonder what he thought about it. I wonder what his father there, the grey-haired man, Bill Dodgett Sr., manager of Bristol Rovers, I wonder what he thought about it too. A unique situation, father and son managing the two clubs here today. Callaghan now to put it back to Webster. John Gilchrist. Earl. Haynes! Haynes! Just over! He's got a tremendous shot on him, Haynes, and he's very good coming forward, and over the years perhaps we haven't seen as much of Haynes coming forward as a lot of people would have liked. He found a fair bit of space there, a nice little flick on from Earl, but he was too high. Mathewson to Gilchrist. And the feet were up there, says referee Dawes. Conway, the innocent man, and a free kick to Fulham. And it's Reg Mathewson, the number 5, who came here a couple of seasons ago to try and keep Fulham in the First Division. But perhaps the cause was already a pretty hopeless one. Richardson going for it, and Barrett too. Barrett well in! And saved again there by Taylor. Good odds on that one going in. Callaghan. Falling nicely though for Earl. Into the path of Haynes. And another good save by Taylor. And Haynes looks as though he's taken a knock in the process. But he's taken a good number of knocks. This, in fact, is Johnny Haynes' 21st season as a Fulham player. Richardson, oh, tricking Taylor beautifully there. John Richardson, turning it back, oh, a shade too far. Oh, a bad pass there. Conway, bad pass by Bryn Jones. And a corner. see Reg Matthewson going up to do a Jackie Charlton on that goal line. Richardson again going in. He goes in with a certain amount of determination in that penalty area. Haynes to flick it on and to Hope. Earl going for it as well. And Taylor coming out. Horn! Couldn't quite turn on it enough to keep it down. And he had to snatch at it anyway because time was short. Barrett. Conway. Haynes making a burst on the right, still Conway. And not so far away because Taylor, I think, must have been blinded by the men in front of him. He certainly started late for a shot that really wasn't properly hit by Conway. It might just have crept inside, and I'm not at all sure that Taylor would have been across quickly enough to have stopped it. Brown, Richardson, and now to Barrett, and across to Conway. Now it must be, there it is, by Richardson. Minutes to go to half-time, and Fulham, who've looked like scoring several times, have at last got ahead through John Richardson. Only his second goal of the season. Now Prince to Jarman. Certainly Richardson would have had a red face if he'd failed with that one, having so much time with so little distance between him and the goal. Graydon. Good run by Graydon, and a hefty clearance there by Callaghan. Well into injury time now in this first half. Horn to Barrett. Again taking on Ford and beating him for speed, and a corner. And I doubt very much whether there'll be time for this corner to be taken, because Mr. Dawes has been looking at his watch consistently now for the last minute or so. Johnny Haynes to take it. And Richardson again going up. And in fact the whistle has gone. No, it hasn't. Thought for a moment the whistle had gone for half-time, but it must have gone for an infringement. That Richardson was pushing the Rovers defenders down as he went up for that ball himself. And so a free kick to Bristol Rovers. And there goes the whistle for half-time, with a goal scored by John Richardson, number 8, close to half-time. A first half that, in fact, Fulham, I think, probably just about deserved the edge. They've shown a little more adventure and a little more class coming forward. So the half-time score here at Craven Cottage is Fulham 1, Bristol Rovers 0. And we'll be back with more soccer action for you in just a couple of minutes. So Fulham kick off the second half, attacking the goal to our left. That one goal up by Richardson. And Gilchrist now finding Richardson. Conway to Horn. Wayne Jones finding his skipper Jarman. Callaghan covering well for Fulham, and now Barrett. Conway outside him. Here's Conway. Onto that foot, and just past. Needed to curl it in just a little more, and that would have been number 2. And a throw to Fulham. Brown, Callaghan, Horn. Pumping one for Richardson, willingly to run for it. Taylor with him, and Earl in the middle if he can get it across. Still Richardson going on, good play by him. And cut out now, Barrett, can he blast it? Too high. That really was a good and determined piece of running by this fellow John Richardson. Because other people seem to be hanging back, and he went for it for all he was worth and shook off a tackle. Here's Barrett, who finally put it over. And Ford, who has had a very unhappy, I would have thought, first afternoon for Bristol Rovers, facing Les Barrett. Horn again. Certainly Fulham are sewing it up very well in midfield, Horn particularly. But now it's Conway. Flicking it inside for Earl. On the turn, and a magnificent goal by Steve Earl. Very good piece of play though by Conway that led up to it, and Earl injured himself slightly as he took that chance, but my goodness, he took it well. So Steve Earl notches up his 14th of the season, and Fulham are 2 up. And signs from the Fulham bench that Cliff Jones, the substitute, is beginning to strip off. Now it's Jarman, and plenty of work now for Bristol Rovers. 2 down. Cliff Jones, with of course his former Spurs teammate Terry Medwin, the trainer. Looks as though he's coming on. Ford pumping it in. And Stubbs getting up but not able to put any power behind it. Had many good seasons with Torquay, and before that Birmingham, Robin Stubbs. Mathewson, but the whistle has gone. And Cliff Jones in fact is now coming onto the field. Well, he's onto the touchline. Had to stop to see who's going off. And Steve Earl in fact looks the man who just scored that second fine goal for Fulham, who had a knock on the knee, in fact is going off. So Cliff Jones is on. In his time, of course, and the other substitute as well, Bobby Jones. So 2 Jones boys. The 2 substitutes are coming on. And Ray Graydon, the number 7, has gone off for Bristol Rovers. But Cliff Jones, of course, here he is, who in the early 1960s with Spurs, I suppose, could rightly have claimed to have been one of the great wingers in European football. Richardson, and here's Cliff Jones looking for a touch of the ball, coming back to Richardson again. I seem to remember that Brentford played him very often as a wing half. But he's got a lot of courage which forwards need going forward towards the penalty area, Richardson. Mathewson decisive. Taylor bundling into Richardson, the free kick going to Fulham. Haynes with it. If he aims one towards the far post, then Cliff Jones will be there, and he can be devastating at the far post, so it's Conway. But a corner, it must have come off a Bristol Rovers player. Corner to Fulham. with the corner. Richardson going in, getting it, nodded off the line by Ford. Got up very well indeed, John Richardson there, nodding it out of Taylor's hands. Another corner to Fulham, Haynes with it. Brown laying it out again to Haynes, but somebody was offside. And Tommy Dawes, the referee, on his haunches again to spot it. He hasn't missed very much, to be honest. Flicked on by Stubbs. And Callaghan cutting out Bobby Jones. No fewer than 4 Joneses on the field now. 3 from Bristol Rovers, and here comes Conway bursting through. Just past! But the referee, I think, may have spotted something. Might well have been a foul by Roberts as Conway went bursting through. And in fact the free kick has been given Bristol Rovers' way. And Lindsay Parsons to take it. Run here by Conway. Cliff Jones, just over. Took that pass well from Conway, but another good rippling run by Jimmy Conway, opening up the way for Fulham. Conway really has caused Bristol Rovers untold trouble this afternoon. Haynes, Richardson, and Jones again offside. Crowd angry, feeling that Ford was far enough back to have put him onside. Well, that's the man they favour, Jimmy Conway, of course. I wouldn't have thought he's got much support or many supporters at Bristol Rovers at the moment. Richardson. And again, Cliff Jones, this time he's onside. And he's wide. And these Bristol Rovers defenders really furious with the linesman, feeling that he should have flagged for offside. And Jones, in all honesty, should have made that number 3 without any doubts at all. He won't get a better chance than that. But it's a corner. Conway with it. Richardson going in again, and very safely gathered by Taylor. Jarman to Wayne Jones. Callaghan to Horn. Callaghan again. Haynes, Conway, and a throw to Bristol Rovers. Just about a quarter of an hour to go. Fulham still leading by 2-0. Horn, Jones. And Ford getting there with great determination before Barrett, but now it's Brown. In fact, putting it straight to Barrett. Barrett then losing it, and it's Bryn Jones for Bristol Rovers. Stubbs, Jarman. Ford going up on the overlap. Getting it across, a little snow, snaky one. Could have been dangerous for Fulham. Webster covering it well with his body behind it as it came across. Richardson again to flick it on. He's been flicking on some good ones, and now Jones scampering after it, and Parsons back to his goalkeeper Taylor. Brown to Hall. Brown again. He's had 12 seasons at Fulham. To Barrett. Taken out well by Ford. Getting to grips with it a little more in this second half. Now Jarman. Still Jarman. And flicked behind for a corner by Gilchrist. Harold Jarman joined Bristol Rovers, in fact, did Jarman. There's number 5, Taylor, going well forward, Stuart Taylor. Jarman with the corner, the man who joined Bristol Rovers in 1959. And Prince really bundled off that ball by Callaghan, claiming that it was my shoulder. There really isn't very much point in arguing like this with the referee when he's given his decision, as clearly as Tommy Dawes gave that decision. Ford. Well, it's an incredible thing that Bristol Rovers have scored 38 goals this season, and only Rochdale in the 3rd division have scored more, 46. So they've got a tremendous record for scoring goals, Bristol Rovers, and they've brought none of it, though, to Craven Cottage this afternoon, so far. Ford to Stuart Taylor. Webster always calling for that one and coming out with a very positive attitude. Cliff Jones taking it on his body. And now sending Haynes away. Inside, almost into the path of Conway, cut out by Roberts. Callaghan. Jones to Horn. Just going past the outstretched foot of Prince to Conway. And in goes, oh, a magnificent goal by Richardson. What a goal! What a beautiful goal! His second of the game. That really was a magnificent goal. Showing all his courage above all else. And that surely must make it clear now for Fulham, with a little over 5 minutes to go, 3-0 ahead against Bristol Rovers. And now Richardson again, 2 goals today. Haynes. Now it's Jarman for Bristol Rovers. Someone wanting one in the air, Bobby Jones going for it. And Wayne Jones. So a goal kick then to Fulham. Jones and Richardson going for it and letting the ball bounce in fact to Jarman. Here's Jarman again, cricketer with Gloucestershire. Good cross there by the winger too. Stubbs getting up. And a corner to Bristol Rovers. Wayne Jones to take the corner. And Callaghan to head it away. To Conway. Horn on the burst. And so too is Conway. Not too much support up with him immediately, but now here's Horn, leaving it for Haynes. To Cliff Jones, and offside, says the linesman, but Jones had lost it. But if he heard the whistle, then I suppose to give him the benefit of it, possibly his concentration had gone just for a fraction. And away go Bristol Rovers now through Bryn Jones to Bobby Jones, and against the legs of Webster. Bobby Jones again. Jarman waiting for it at the far side, and here's Jarman, and there it is, by Jarman. So 3-1 now. Harold Jarman's 8th goal of the season, and 4 minutes left. Skipper, of course, of Bristol Rovers. And the first time really in the whole match that the Fulham defence has looked unsure of themselves, but now here's Conway, just across the goal. He's very quick on the break, this fellow. Irishman, Republic of Ireland international, Jimmy Conway. Although there again, it might have been better if he could have pulled that one back with Jones, Barrett and Richardson all bearing in. Ford, very determined in the tackle. One to get Barrett chasing away, but Ford has yards on him. And it's a throw to Fulham. Had nearly a minute and a half of injury time. Stan Brown. Richardson again coming towards it. Barrett, with Jarman slipping, he's got time to put it across. And Jones going in, but Conway now, can he turn it back? The corner. Which is the way the first half ended, with a corner to Fulham. And there's so precious little time left for this corner right at the end of the match. Conway with it. Jones again getting in, but no bother there for Taylor. And in fact, there goes the final whistle. Fulham's first victory since September the 27th, with John Richardson here scoring 2 of their goals, Steve Earle, the man who went off, scoring the other one, and Harold Jarman scoring for Bristol Rovers. So the final score then here at Craven Cottage is Fulham 3, Bristol Rovers 1.
So, well done Fulham, a victory that a lot of Londoners were very glad to see. A victory for the son, Bill Dodgin Jr. of Fulham, over his father, Bill Dodgin Sr. of Bristol Rovers. And after the game, Jimmy Hill had a word with the pair of them.
Didn't feel any different at all, Jim. As long as we won, I wasn't bothered who we beat, you see. As long as we, especially the trouble we've been in just lately with not getting any results, the pressures have been on us. Didn't make any difference whatsoever.
That sounds very cynical. I don't imagine the Dodgin family are that cynical. Didn't you even think how Bristol Rovers playing at one point?
No, I wasn't bothered how they played. I would just watch my own team most
What
of the
about
time.
Dad?
Well, I would sooner lose to young Bill as any other manager in the country, and I thoroughly enjoyed seeing his team play well, although I felt sick about my own.
More of father and son a little later on. But what about Fulham? And a lot of people are saying that with Johnny Haynes in the side, they're looking more to the past than to the future. And other people are saying that without Johnny Haynes, can Fulham even be sure of staying in the 3rd division? Jimmy, what's your view about this?
Well, I must say I thought the time had come at the end of last season when Johnny Haynes had his testimonial for him to leave Fulham. But having looked at his performance yesterday, which is absolutely outstanding, just watch the way he switches the ball here, perfectly placed with his left foot to the outside right. I now believe that he still can get Fulham back into the 2nd division at least. He's got the enthusiasm of a 16-year-old. Just watch it the way he chases young Prince over the line there, not only playing with the ball, but running without it. And then the beautiful skill, this first-time half volley, look at the pace of that to provide problems for the goalkeeper and put it within an inch of Earle's head, and nearly brings about that goal. But Prince was told yesterday to keep close to Johnny Haynes, and that's easier said than done. He's got the best shrugging off movement in the world with his backside, and he's not easy to dispossess under any circumstances. And when he does get away with the ball, you can expect the kind of passing skill and deception, there he is turning beautifully with it, that only Johnny Haynes can do. And he makes here a delightful 1-2 movement, flicking the ball up, getting it back. And now just watch the perfection of the man who I think is still the finest judge of weight in a pass in the world. There's the ball as it slides through, and it brings about that near miss.
Yes, he was quite superb, wasn't he, Johnny Haynes? But a young fellow who caught my eye yesterday was this boy, John Richardson, scorer of 2 of the goals. His first one, there was a very good move, I thought, leading up to that by Fulham.
Yes, it was. Richardson impressed me very much indeed. I think he's a good buy. I think
so much courage, apart from anything else.
He's got courage, and it's funny for me to see now someone wearing the Fulham number 8 linking up with Johnny when I used to miss them years ago. But Richardson's scoring them now, and he scored this goal beautifully yesterday. Took it very coolly, and he also played a part in building up the movement for that goal. I think it showed the power of Fulham on the wings, the acceleration that they've got there, which could well get them back into the second division, if not this year, certainly in the year to come. Here's the move building out. There's Richardson, takes it down with his left foot, cleverly beats his man with his right. And there's Barrett with his pace on the wing. Just watch the way he accelerates past the fullback, and there's Richardson running into the right of the picture. And young Prince, number 6, in the middle of the screen, has left him. At this moment, he's looking for Johnny Haynes, and there's the value of a first-time ball back from Conway. Prince has lost Richardson. He runs back now despairingly into the picture, tries to handle it off the goal line, but that's a lesson for that young man and Bristol Rovers.
Now, Fulham's second goal came from Steve Earle, of course, who had some experience in the First Division, and his goal really was First Division calibre, wasn't it, yesterday?
He's a player of great class that First Division clubs have looked at. I think in among the Fulham forward line, they need a physical player, and I don't think he's physical in any respect, but he's certainly got outstanding skill. Great accelerations he showed here, with the ability to hit a first-time shot into goal. The move starts with a clever dribble from Conway, picks up the ball there, beats his man beautifully, wriggles inside. Now watch the skill with which he lays off this pass, comes inside Prince and lays it off with the outside of his foot there, and it's right in Earle's stride as he picks it up on the edge of the box. Now he only had one moment, I think, to take that chance, and that was it. And he took it with a beautifully placed shot right into the far corner of the net. Of course, that meant he got injured in doing that and had to leave the field, and Cliff Jones came on, but it was a great contribution to the game.
Well, Fulham looked fairly safe at that point, and they made it absolutely sure for themselves with this second goal by John Richardson fairly late in the game, which again shows his bravery, getting in with a header.
Yes, it did, and it was one of the best goals I think we've seen this season.
Might even be a golden goal.
Might even be a golden goal. It was a near post goal, the old cross that the forward runs to first and beats the defender to it. It was a beautiful. There's Cliffy Jones laying it back, and this pass of Stan Horn's played a big part in it. Just watch the way it tempts Prince to go forward, just misses it, but he's out of the game now. Conway picks it up on the wing, and now I want you to see Richardson, who's now just in the left of your picture. The moment he decides to run to the right, there he goes, tall figure there, number 8, and there's the cross. Now watch as he dives for this ball. He's completely off the ground, full length, swallow dive, nothing touching the ground, and full of courage, throwing himself ahead of the centre half. And there he glides the ball beautifully into the far corner of the net. A superb goal that would have graced any ground anywhere in the world.
Bristol Rovers came to this game. They'd scored, I think, 38 goals, and only Rochdale in the third division had scored more. But in fact, in fairness to all our West Country viewers, they showed nothing really yesterday, did they? Apart from this last flash that scored them a goal.
Yeah, Bill Dodgin described their performance as pathetic, and it was almost as if they wanted Fulham to win yesterday. They didn't show any danger. Fulham almost denied them a shot, I think, in the first half of any kind whatsoever. But this is a nice move that brought the last goal. I think even that was offside. Look at the outside man in the outside left position. You just judge whether you think he's offside when that ball was played. But anyway, the linesman said he was okay. The goalkeeper makes a good save there, but it bounces out. And now we get a chance, as Matthewson's clearance is blocked, to see the skill of Bobby Jones there in the outside left position again. Watch the way he pulls it back. He's waiting to measure a pass. This is the skill of the modern footballer. He feints, doesn't give it, and then he puts it right on the button. Just enough to tempt Stanley Brown in. He doesn't quite get it. And look at the balance of Jarman as he cracks that ball first time into the back of the net. And that's one time when a player does place a shot. He knew exactly where that was going.
Jimmy Hill's views. Now let's turn to the two Bill Dodgins again. First of all, young Bill Dodgin of Fulham. Jimmy Hill was saying that he thought that Fulham's football was good enough for the second division. So why weren't they there?
This is hard to say why we're not in the second division, Jim. Circumstances of this, we just seem to run out of players at this time. The ball didn't run for us quite well last year, but we can make excuses all the time. But I think it's the quality of the player. I think at times we flatter to deceive. We play good stuff, but when it comes to being brave in the box, we're not quite brave enough in the box. This is what I've always felt. Today, probably you've seen us for about the first time this season.
Yeah. And all the big match viewers.
Yeah. the boys have been very concerned, as we have, about the performances of late, and they put a wholehearted effort in today, and you can't ask any more than that.
So we've seen rather a better Fulham than you've seen over recent weeks today, would you
I
say?
think so, yes.
Yeah.
But,
Bill, if I may change it now. You were here in the old days. Fulham's always been renowned as a happy club, but then they struggled in the first division as a happy club. What do you think it is? Something about the character of the club that has sent them struggling down?
I think there's something in that, yes. But, you know, I left a bit of material when I left Fulham. You know, Haynes,
Yeah.
Robson, Jezzard, yourself, and Eddie Lowe. And I was sorry to see them in the position they have been. But today, I think they're back at first division. They gave us a football lesson, didn't they?
Yeah.
I would say this is the best side I've seen this season. Mind, your fellas were braver because we were a bit afraid. And it was
for our West Country fans, I mean, this is going out in the West Country tomorrow. What do you think about your own side? I mean, have you had a go at them in the dressing room now?
No, I shall do that Monday. I like to leave it till Monday, yes.
What about the performance? I mean, were there any good performances you thought of?
I think Roberts was my best player. The youngest boy in the team was my best player, the young wing half. I was disappointed with many of them, but next week we play Luton, and if we fight as hard as Fulham did today, I think we might give Luton a shock. And that's what I'm aiming at now. We've got to forget this match today, because this was pathetic, in my opinion.
Well, there were some strong words there from Bill Dodgen Sr., but they weren't the only strong words at Craven Cottage yesterday, because a ginger group of Fulham supporters were distributing this document to people as they arrived at Craven Cottage yesterday, entitled "Fulham Football Club is Dying." And among other things they say is there must be wholesale changes at the top. The present board can no longer escape their responsibilities. Let them demonstrate their loyalty to their club and their concern at its present plight by relinquishing their present responsibilities. In other words, they want the board out. It'll take a new board with money to back their vision. Well, we've got the chairman of that Fulham board, Mr. Tommy Trinder, as our big match guest today, and welcome to him. With him is Jimmy Hill.
Tommy, what did you feel yesterday when you saw that leaflet? Do you feel they may have been right in what they said?
No, the point was I was warned, you see, naturally, because they got in touch with the Press Association. And the two people had their names and phone numbers, so I got our secretary to ring them up before the game. They hadn't left home, and said, well, why don't you come and meet the board at the finish of the game, which they did. And they were two really nice fellows. Their only trouble was the lack of knowledge of football economics. And when we sat there for about 2 hours, and I explained to them exactly what takes place with the board. And I must say that they finished up by saying they were sincerely sorry for what they'd done. They'd done the wrong thing. They were trying to help Fulham, and they hadn't done so. They wouldn't do it in the future, and anything they could do to help us, they'd be very happy to do.
Yeah. Well, that was a first-class way of handling yesterday's problems, Tom, and congratulations on that. But there are, I suppose, 40,000 Fulham supporters scattered around London, and a lot more second-class supporters, people who like Fulham as a club, who are not going to the ground now. There were, 6,500 people there at the game yesterday in the third division.
Yeah, well,
and what steps the board taking to do something about that?
We realise our weaknesses. First of all, we want a striker, a strong boy. You see, we play too good football, I've decided, for the third division.
Yeah.
What you've got to have is a bit of beef behind it. It's foreign to the Fulham policy, but it's one of those things, you cut the garment according to the cloth. So we're looking for a couple of players. We've got two.
The manager has the money to buy the players.
The manager, we have never at any time refused a manager money for any player he wants. The money is available. On top of that, last Wednesday we had a meeting with 3 architects. The plans are out to have a stand on the riverside. This has been a pipe dream of mine for years, but now we've got building permission, we've got the plans out, and it's easier to raise $250,000 in the city for a stand than it is to try and raise £10,000 for a footballer.
Yeah.
So we realise what's wrong, and we're trying to build, but it's got to be a slow process. Last season we did a lot of panic buying because we tried to stop our slide out the second division.
Did the directors influence that in any way? I mean, were the directors saying, we want you to buy somebody to save the club?
This we know. We'd say to the manager, well, our weakness is so-and-so, don't you agree? And the manager says yes. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye with any manager, but the manager has the last word. He is the manager, so he manages.
You'll confirm the manager has a completely free hand at Fulham on the playing side?
Absolutely. We have never tried to pick a team. We've naturally said, well, I don't think much of so-and-so. And the manager, usually they're good talkers, they've talked us into where we're wrong and they're right. But the point is, the manager at Fulham has always managed, and the board have always made available to him his money that he wants for a player. But I must say that now Bill Dodging, he knows Fulham like you do, you know, and he realises what's wrong, and this is what we're trying to put right.
Tom, if you get the new players and the stand and 30,000 people back in the ground, nobody will be happier than I would. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, Jimmy.
Well, more action now. We've had to give a miss to the other third division game that we'd hoped to do, Brighton and Orient, which finished as a goalless draw. Instead, we go into the first division, where it's becoming a two-horse race. Everton 37 points, Leeds 36, and the third club, Liverpool, now with 30.
Charlton.
Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday is our second match then. Leeds are in white. The pictures come from Yorkshire Television, and the commentator is Keith Macklin.
Paul Madeley. Johnny Giles out on the right is Paul Reaney. Clark, Bremner, and there's no more. No, he's disallowed it. He's going to disallow it, Mr. Hill. Immediately Bremner squirted that one in. I think he's ruled Bremner offside. Norman Hunter unsettling Jerry Young there. Peter Eustace, in fact, as he went up. Here's Terry Cooper. Cooper out to Hibbett. Good ball by Hibbett. Had it away only as far as Lorimer. To Bremner. In goes Cooper. It's there, Terry Cooper. A beautiful goal from fullback by Terry Cooper. And it's again offside. Another goal disallowed. Referee Mr. Hill adamant. And he's penalised. He's saying that that ball was out of play when Bremner crossed it. I must admit that in retrospect, I thought the ball might just have gone out of play, but everyone else thought it was a goal except Mr. Hill. Tommy Craig. Tommy Craig for Wednesday. Coleman and Craig. Craig again. There's Tommy Craig, signed from Aberdeen for £100,000. Very useful little halfback, hard worker. He's the man with the red hair. Giles, Young. Bremner. Well, Leeds must be wondering what they have to do to score. 2 disallowed goals so far. There's Norman Hunter. Paul Madeley hitting it hard. And hitting the crossbar. Beautiful effort by Paul Madeley.
2 goals disallowed then. The goals that counted came in the second half.
Which amounts almost to desperation as they try to get this first goal. Lorimer, and that's more like it. There's the goal. There's the goal. It's happened. Alan Clark, the scorer, and Peter Lorimer made it with a hard, low shot. Eustace, Whittam, Coleman. Good tackle by Giles. That's for Clark, and he's in line, and he has it, but 3 men are coming back with him. Whittam. Cooper, Bremner. Jack Charlton, Lorimer, no one up. Leeds have relaxed. Giles is on the floor, getting up now but looking a bit worse for wear. Coleman. Warboy's getting up there, Yorath and Giles going off the field to have attention, so Leeds temporarily have 12 men, but may not be long. Leeds have 10 men on the field now, Giles having attention as they mount an attack. Clark asking for it, but trying hard not to be offside. Hunter. Madeley, and is that number 2 by Clark? So easy, stroked home by Clark.
2 goals then to Alan Clark and a 2-0 victory for Leeds United. That's all from the Big Match programme today. Again, of course, we hope very much that you've enjoyed it. Again, we like to leave you with a goal to talk about. This one, it's the one scored by John Richardson, his second and Fulham's third against Bristol Rovers yesterday.
Callaghan. Jones. To Horn. Just going past the outstretched foot of Prince to Conway. And in goes, oh, a magnificent goal by Richardson! What a goal!